Hello, 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 hello. Good evening. This is DJ Amos, live from Manchester, and we have got an amazing lineup this evening. We've got Nisha Gomez all the way from India who will be joining me shortly to help me and join me and talk about all the music from around the world and also Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra music also. In the studio we have already Gianni. Good evening all the way from Manchester. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. How are you, my brother?
I'm good. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for everything you do, keeping the music alive, and for inviting me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. What an amazing band Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra is. I have been following you guys since 2011, since your first album. Wow. Your music is just absolutely amazing indeed. We're going to start off this evening by audience participation, also as well as participation with my co-host this evening. She's from India. She's a salsa promoter, dancer, and the time there now is about 11, 12 o'clock, something like that at night. And she's going to join us this evening, and because she wants to promote your music also in India as well, because she's got a nice following there. So I think it's going to be a fantastic evening. But we'll start off the evening with playing one of your tracks, and then we'll talk to you.
Okay.
So I can share the event to the other groups as well. So if you just bear with me, Nisha will join us shortly as well. So I'm going to play one of the tracks from your first album. I'm going to start off with Pleasure Town.
I'm in my pleasure town, and it's gonna rain. I'm in my pleasure town, and it's gonna rain. I'm gonna let go, take off my restraint. You gotta love me a lot, I'm right in the whole plot. And if you join me now, you've got a lot to gain. I'm in my outer class, and you've got the light. You're gonna shine me, get me hot inside. We're gonna swim down to a little shore for all the hoochie coochie that we always did before. Give me back your lovin', give me back your lovin', your kisses and your hugging. Give me back your lovin', oh, I haven't had for such a long time. I'm in my love shack, but I'm here alone. You're in your nutshell, on your little throne. We gotta break free. You're coming back to me for all the good time loving that we always get for free. Give me back your lovin', give me back your lovin', your kisses and your hugging. Give me back your lovin', oh, your kisses and your hugging. Give me back your lovin', your kisses and your hugging. It's what I like, I haven't had in such a long time. All day, 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 all day in the bed. All day, 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 all day in the bed.
Live from Manchester,
Been had for such a long time,
DJ Amos.
for such a long time,
with Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, and a very good evening to you guys out there. DJ Camille Piek, DJ Caramello in the Netherlands. Enjoy your swim.
Me gusta, me gusta, me gusta a mí.
Had for such a long time, long time. I haven't had for such a long time, long time. I haven't had for such a long time, long time. I haven't had for such a long time, long time.
Es que no ves cómo estoy, cómo me pongo. Todo lo mucho que te quiero, mi amor. Dame todo lo que me prometes.
Hi, Sophie.
Mucho más.
Had for such a long time, long time. I haven't had for such a long time, long time. I haven't had for such a long time, long time. I haven't had for such a long time, long time.
Vamos a ver el sol amaneciendo por la ventana.
Run around all day in the bed, see the sunset behind your head.
Todo el día entre las sábanas, todo el día en la cama.
Run around all day in the bed, see the sunset behind your head.
No vamos a salir hasta el día de mañana.
Run around all day in the bed, see the sunset behind your head.
Acurrucaditos, acurrucaditos, acurrucaditos en la cama.
Long time, 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 long time.
All day, 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 all day in the bed. All day, 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 all day in the bed.
Wow, what a great track. This is DJ Amos live from Manchester. And in the house, we have got two beautiful people. Nisha here, all the way from India, Mumbai. Hi, hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Always happy to be here with you, DJ Amos, always.
Thank you. And we have also Yanni. Where's the names gone? Everybody's names have disappeared.
All right. Hi, Nisha.
Hello, nice meeting you.
Great.
So great. So Gianni Mano, lead musician, maestro himself from Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. So I love your history. I love the way your style of music, jumping from indie, which is by the way, my favorite style of music. Before salsa, before house, Latin house, anything. Indie is my I'm from Manchester, so this is where indie comes from. So what can I say? Tell us when you started your group.
Well, I started it in really the idea came to me in 2009. That's when I started with the first arrangements. But the original plan was not actually to put together a complete performing band. I just wanted to experiment a little bit with some arrangements. Actually, the idea came to me when I heard the song "My Girls" by Animal Collective.
Oh yes.
And it was such a beautiful song. And as I was listening to it, I realized that it had the same form as a song on a Cachao record called Lindo Yambu, which starts with a yambu, which is a very slow style of Cuban rumba. And the
Yes.
song has a mambo section at the end, a big dancing section. The tempo picks up. And I heard when I heard the Animal Collective song, I said, "Wow, that's really remarkable! Like it has almost the same form." So I said to myself, I'm gonna do something wacky. I'm gonna make an arrangement of My Girls in this Cuban yambu form with a mambo section, in the same form as Lindo Yambu. And so I did it in my studio myself. I played the instruments and just completely solo. And it came out great. I mean, I really liked it. So I said, let me try, doing a few more. And I put together a group of arrangements that were just demos. But the feedback I got from them was so great. People started asking me, when is your first performance? When is your first show? And all of that. And I actually got like challenged by another band, which is great. Like another band called me and wanted the WSO, which there wasn't one, to open for them. And I said, well, those are just demos. I mean, there's no band. And he said, and it was the show was like 3 months away or something. And he said, well, look, can you put something together in 3 months? Just do like 35 minutes on stage or whatever. And we'll help promote you guys and whatever. And I said, well, okay, let me see what I can do. It was sort of a challenge, just like, for me, a personal challenge. Like, can I put together a brand new sort of avant-garde salsa band and have it sounding good enough in 3 months to play a show? And at our very first show, because all during this time, the demos had been getting popular. And so at our first show, this is the hard part about the modern world with cell phones. Like at our very first show, like the press showed up and people are videotaping us. At the very first show, everyone's like still buried in the charts, like this. And I only had 8 songs done and rehearsed, but it went over great. It was obvious to me that the idea was going to work outside of the studio and on stage. And that was it. That was in 2010. And it just took off from there, we were just off to the races. The other thing that I could talk about this endlessly, which is like,
go for it. We're listening.
The other thing is that in 2010, there was a real shortage in New York of innovative salsa bands. And what I mean by that was that most of the bands were still drawing on the great classic repertoire. There's 500, 1,000 songs that are like all-time classics that everybody knows. And most of the bands were playing those songs. And, you can put a band together and you can actually go on websites and buy those charts and, pick your, 15, 16 favorite songs. And you have a night of music and you call yourself whatever you want to do. And even the bands that were playing originals were all writing in that style, like the same chord changes, the same forms, which is fine. That's my favorite stuff to listen to anyways. But nobody had really tried something completely out of left field, especially in like a bilingual way where the song might be in English, but the soneos are in Spanish and the coros might be in Spanish. And it turns out that the dancers, that the people that are like really supporting the salsa scene in New York are everybody taking the salsa dance classes and the lessons. I mean, they go out all the time and they just loved hearing music that they knew or that was just different. It just, we just right off the bat, we had a sound that was unlike any other salsa band in the city. And I think it helped to set us apart right away. So, I couldn't stop there.
No.
We just started playing and, that was it. Here we are a couple albums later and a lot of videos. So.
At the time when your first album came out, I was doing a show called Global Vibes in Manchester every Saturday night. And we had about 20,000 listeners because it was going via radio as well as digital. Right. And it was one of the DJs here in the UK, Luby, who sent me a link saying, have you heard this group, the Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra? Right. They're absolutely amazing. You got to check this CD out. And of course, then I ordered the CD and I still got it in the bag, you know.
Oh,
and,
great.
and I look at it and I listed the name of people who I wanted to talk to over the pandemic period. And you are one of the guys, but of course, because I'm dealing with so many other
Okay.
people, you eventually got to the place where I wanted you to be, and I'm really grateful for you being here with me. Andy Cannon is saying that he loves your music, absolutely brilliant, and
Hi, Andy. Thank you.
yeah,
Oh, and like I mean, I have to tell you, like, thank you for listening and for doing what you do. The one thing I've discovered is that the salsa world is it needs people like you. It needs people to spread the good news and to spread the
thank you.
music because in the age of now we're like 4 or 5 genres down the line after salsa. We went through the reggaeton phase, and then we went to the bachata and the merengue, whatever. And then we're in Latin trap and house and all, Latin hip hop and all that stuff. And that the younger generations are really, I mean, that's really their music. But keeping alive this music that where every single note has to be played live by a group of people, and the feeling has to be in every single note. There's no computers, there's no quantizing going on and all that stuff. It's so important. It's so important, and it captures people when they start to understand it. They never let it go. I mean, what you do is like crucial, and what you do, Nisha, also is like it's like vital to us as musicians because we need an audience and we need people to get out there and talk about it and express their passion for it as well.
Nisha, fire away, your shout.
Absolutely. There is absolutely no comparison to a complete orchestra, complete a band playing, and especially for a dancer, because I do a lot of dancing. And there are times when, as a dancer, you want to dance to different instruments playing, you want to dance to the vocals.
Yes.
So it's fantastic when you have the entire orchestra playing live. It's nothing
Yeah.
like it.
Well, you know what? I tell people that, salsa might be the last form of popular dance music that is played entirely live with no tracks, no computers on stage at all. I mean, pretty much everything else is using tracks. All the famous DJs and the Daft Punks and Tiesto and all these guys, all that stuff is all programmed, of course, and buttons being pressed and even bachata uses a lot of backing tracks. Merengue probably doesn't, but it's not as worldwide. It's not sort of as globally performed as salsa is. So it might be the last one, which is really fascinating when you think about it. Like if you put it in that context, like it may be the last form of like really popular dance music that's played entirely by live musicians. It's pretty interesting.
Just bear with me for a second, Trevor. We're gonna do a quick sound check. Can you tell me, guys, if you can hear us clearly? Because Trevor is saying that there's some sort of a background noise. So give me feedback, and then we can make some changes here on my end and take it from there. So, how have you coped over the last 18, 19 months on the pandemic period?
Man, it was hard for everybody I know around the world. In New York, for me and my sort of circle of musicians, super difficult. I mean, we were going with all burners. We're burning, we're going hard before, and then everything just stopped. And in fact, we were about a week away from our debut show with a brand new singer and a whole new repertoire when the lockdown happened. And we had been rehearsing for a few months and I was all excited, starting the promotion and everything like that. And we had a great new singer from Puerto Rico. And we managed to do one private show as sort of a warm-up show. And then the lockdown came and that was it. And I mean, the last 18 months have been difficult for everybody. The band hasn't played yet. And largely, I mean, we have some shows coming up in September. But we haven't played yet, largely because most of the band that could leave New York and like go stay with parents or relatives have left. People went back to Colombia and Puerto Rico and Texas, and they, where they can live inexpensively with family. Or in the case of our new singer, she's from Puerto Rico. She has 2 parents, elderly parents that are not in great health. and she wanted to go just take care of them during the lockdown. And I understand, but she hasn't yet come back to New York, and I'm not sure how many of the members are going to come back now, because even though the city is technically open again, there's not as many people going out and spending the kind of money they were spending, and there's not as much work for musicians as there was yet, before the pandemic. So it's been very difficult on everybody. Of course, it's super hard on the salsa business. I mean, multiple partner, hand-to-hand, face-to-face dancing all night is not very COVID friendly. And so, people are hesitant to do it. There have been, some street events going on, but, to have, 300 or 400 people in a club changing partners all night, I don't know if people are comfortable with that yet. They might be, but I mean, we're very vaccinated here. There's a high level going on, which is good, but still, it's still different when you're like holding different people like this close and breathing on each other all night. I don't know. So yeah, it hasn't been easy, but everything's opening up again, and we are getting calls for shows starting in September. We're getting some big sort of festival shows, which are really nice. So I think I'm gonna like focus on that for a little while before we get back in the clubs, especially because in order for me to have a real working WSO again, I probably have to do some restaffing, and some of my players are just not going to come back.
No.
They're just not. It's very expensive to live here, as you can imagine, and so it's not. You have to kind of hit the ground running right away when you get here, and it was never easy before COVID to be a working musician in New York. After COVID, I don't know. So they may not come back for a while. So I'm still contemplating what I'm going to do, but we do have some big festival shows that will be announced soon, including some in New York that will be free outdoor shows where, thanks to the popularity of our videos and everything like that, and the popularity of the band, I'm able to fly some people in, and we can have sort of big reunion shows, and people are going to love that. I mean, we're going to play stuff like Pleasure Town, things I haven't heard in 2 or 3 years, and Love Song and all that, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Fatima, who's in the room, saying you should come to the UK to play. Hey,
yep,
Fatima, have you been to the UK or
no,
into Europe?
I have, but the band, we haven't come over yet. I would love to bring the band. We travel as an 8-piece also, and the full band is 11 or 12. But we tend to travel as an 8-piece. We always offer those two, forms. But we haven't been there yet. It's really interesting. I spoke to a promoter who does bookings for all the world music festivals all over Europe that happen in the summer, and he told me that there was a real sort of prejudice against bringing salsa bands over because they kind of have their own scene. Like the world music groups that do all the world music are sort of one scene, and the salsa scene is kind of different. And so they tend to not book so many salsa bands. And he also told me that for a while they would book these bands from New York, and whenever the band showed up, it was like the same people. But they would have a different leader, like one person in the band, and the promoters felt like they weren't really getting their money's worth for a while. But what I have to tell them is like just what there's groups of great bands in New York, like Hacheros, Avenida Bay. I know you spoke with David, and
yes.
us that are like our own. We each have a very distinct sound again, just like it used to be, and we don't sound like each other, and everybody's friends, and like they're stuff like that. Like I think it would be a great. I know this would cost a mint because the bands are big bands, but like to have like the new sound of salsa in New York tour kind of thing with like us three, bands like us that each sound different from each other are very exciting and are really filling up the dance floors here, that sort of thing. So I know DJs are doing that already to sort of like here's new bands from New York, and it's like us three and a few others also in there. But I know that the three of us are like have, at least before COVID, we're like heavy working bands. Like we're playing all the time. We're keeping our fan base excited. We're putting out music. and all that stuff. So, I mean, I hope to bring the band there. The last time I toured in Europe, I was with a group called Radio Mundial, which was a lot of fun. This was like a Latin alternative band with we had a drummer and we had two Puerto Rican brothers, and one of them played cuatro. They would sing beautiful harmonies. It was very, very funky and fun, and we came over in like the mid 2000s, 3 years in a row. We did WOMAD and all that stuff, we and where was it in Reading, I think we did
Reading,
WOMAD
yes.
in Reading and a whole bunch of stuff all over Europe.
Walmart was an amazing festival.
Oh, yeah.
It was just unbelievable. I'm going to connect you with somebody from an organization called Manchester International Festival, MIF. When I was doing the radio, I did a lot of work with them. I was one of the guys who interviewed the likes of Amadou and Miriam,
Oh, yeah.
and so on. So also Raghu Dixie, who also performed
Right.
on that. He's from India. He's an Indian rock musician. So
Wow.
it was just absolutely, his music is just outstanding,
That's
and
great.
it's different. And I'm gonna send you some details for the people there. Maybe you should connect with them because their idea is not just about inviting world musicians, but they want to incorporate different styles of music in that festival.
Right.
And it happens all over Manchester in different clubs, different venues, and it's absolutely amazing. I need to connect with them again because I need to get back on. They're doing something this summer, which is obviously a bit late now, but maybe for next year you should speak to them. I think with your
Sure.
style of music, I'm sure that they would want to invite you because you have this indie background as well. So I think it's going to be
Great.
great.
Yeah.
Nisha, questions, please.
So, in more than a question, I'm thinking, just like your band members, your orchestra members have been out and there's no possibility of them coming back. Similarly, there would be musicians in New York who may have lost their jobs or they don't have, and I'm sure they would be probably looking for, orchestras to be
for
part. So
Yes.
you have people approaching you, musicians approaching you to be a part of your
Oh,
orchestra.
yes, and which is great. What I explained to them is that the amount of work that I'm going to put into the band before we get to our first show, if I do have a new working band, is exponential compared to what they're doing, and so I need a sort of level of commitment. I don't want the kind of journeyman musicians that are always going to be looking at their charts, in a year. I mean, I want them to, know the music by, as well as they know the salsa classics. So we can really swing, like one reason why I think, especially DJs really loved our first record when it came out is that we recorded that all together at once with no metronome. We were, at the time in 2011, I think, when we recorded
It was
that.
11, yes.
Yeah, all salsa was like recorded with a metronome, like one person at a time. You would have the piano player lay it down with the conga player, and then you bring in the timbale, then the bass, and you just go one at a time. And so you get kind of this mechanical salsa happening, this flat thing. But that record was recorded no click, everybody swinging. And I booked 3 gigs right before that, and I said, everybody's on the album has to be at all these 3 gigs. So we all are pros at playing 100% together. I said, I'm going to count it off, and we're doing 2 or 3 takes, and we pick the best take. And that's the old school way to do it. And that is the passion in the music. But I want that from my band members too. I want that level of commitment and passion from the band members. And, it's a good trade-off. I'm offering them, dozens and dozens of shows and gigs and paid events and a little travel and all that stuff. But yes, you are correct. There are musicians that definitely want to join the band and all that stuff, which is great. However, I probably am going to need a brand new singer. I don't think our new singer is necessarily going to be in New York permanently, just because she's helping take care of her parents and everything, and I totally understand that. And it's a real challenge now, by the way, to find anybody under 35, maybe 45, who really knows how to play this music. I mean, you would be surprised in New York, like, you know, to sing soneos. I mean, to improvise in Spanish in clave with the right pitch and tell a story, and to be bilingual enough to do it. I mean, it's a real specific art form. Salsa is already a very specific art form. That being said, it is New York. I mean, people are coming back. So, you know, just give me a few months and I'll have a new record for you. But I start to think like the band leader and the arranger, like, oh, okay, what have I got to do? And I make this list of like all that. But, you know, I already have some arrangements finished that we were going to do before COVID. So eventually we will be back with, you know, the same sound and, you know, new arrangements, new songs, and more excitement. So, you know, it's coming. But what I still have, which is great, is I still have the band. So all these festival shows we're doing, I'm just flying everybody in, and everyone's so excited. They're like, let's do it. And it really would be great to actually tour as this unit, because the unit is so good now. I mean, the sort of classic WSO lineup with Solange and everybody is so good that, you know, we're doing a bunch of festivals. So to kind of keep this going and touring, and then when we have a festival, to bring everyone to New York and do a show or two in New York, that might be the way to go, which would be fine with me, because that would be a lot of fun. You know, it's like a reunion every time we see each other now. So.
Awesome. Just a few shout outs. I've got Tito Puente Jr. in the house. Good evening, sir. Hello. Great to have you with us. Gerard O'Reilly in Ireland. We've got Danny in Belgium. Sonia back in the States.
There's your dad right there on my wall.
There you are, yes.
There he is.
Did you see that, Tito?
Tito y la Lupe.
Awesome. So I'm going to play one of your tracks.
Okay.
I was going to play the collective track earlier on, which you mentioned, but My Girl, I'll come back to that shortly.
Okay.
And this is Cheated Heart from the Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra's first album. Let's listen to this. Here we go.
Cheated by the opposite, love held on high. From up above, kept my high. From the second one, kept my eye. On the first one, I'll take these rings and store them
Sometimes I think I'm bigger than the South. Sometimes I think I'm bigger than the South. Sometimes I think I'm bigger than the South. Sometimes I think I'm bigger than the South.
Taking it off and shoes. Taking it off, and we're taking it off, and we're taking it off. And sometimes I think that I'm bigger down the South. I think that I'm bigger down the South. I think that I'm bigger. I think that I'm bigger. I think that I'm bigger than the South.
Take it off, take it off. 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 Take it off, take it off.
Take it, take it, take it, take it, take it, take it, take it. Sácalo, sácalo, sácalo todo, mi amor, sácalo todo. Take it off, sácalo todo, sácalo, ¿qué estás esperando? Sácate la ropa, el anillo, la culpa y las ganas de todo. Mi corazón ya fue engañado y ahora soy libre. Esto se siente tan bien, atrévete mi vida, déjate llevar.
Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra,
Take it off,
Cheated Hearts. Qué tema.
take it off, take it off. Take it off, take it off. Take it off, take it off.
Wow, what a great track. A few more shout outs to Mandy, all the way down south in the UK, Nottingham, I think it is, and also to my lovely friend Lena Almastica in Chicago. Good evening. And to Sonia. I've mentioned before, John Maruskin. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's an absolute pleasure. In the house, we have Gianni Mano from Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, and that track was Cheated Heart. What a beautiful track indeed. I hope you're enjoying this evening. This is Saturday Night Live with DJ Amos and Nisha Gomez all the way in India, and our special, super special guest talking about their musical journey. That is an absolutely brilliant track. Next question. Who is the lady who's singing that song? Please tell us a little bit about her. What an amazing voice. Wow, just love it.
I thought exactly the same thing. I said, gosh, Solange can sing so great. Yeah, her name is Solange Pratt, P-R-A-T. She's from Argentina. She currently lives in Colombia with her fiance. They have a young baby, and she has a bunch of solo tracks that she's putting out that are not salsa. They're more like trova, beautiful love songs, these sorts of things in different styles. But yeah, she, I mean, the way I met her was just unbelievably great chance, the stars being aligned. A very good, she was a Broadway star in Buenos Aires before, and she had been in the Spanish versions, obviously, of like Rent and The Little Mermaid and a bunch of other things in the Buenos Aires, version of Broadway. And a very good friend of hers, who was also a star down there, had been sort of scouted and got the part of Maria in West Side Story on Broadway, which was playing on Broadway in New York in 2008, 9, 10, 11, that sort of thing. And so Solange came to visit her just to sort of check out the scene. You know, her best friend is suddenly like has the best female role in all of Broadway history, basically. You know, Maria in West Side Story. And
Yes.
and there's a magazine here called Backstage. It's a weekly that is basically for the Broadway audience and for like casting, you know, for musicals, plays, and all that stuff. And I put an ad in Backstage because you really get professional singers. And I knew I needed a pro, like a bilingual pro. And it was at Solange's friend's apartment, and she was just sort of looking through it. And there was my ad, and she said, she just responded to it. And I called her in for an audition, you know, a week later. She was still here. And I mean, I was blown away right away. I had already heard, you know, 15 different people. Nobody was really right. I mean, that was it. You know, you just know right away. You know, Solange is an extremely intelligent person. Like she's one of the singers that can just learn anything. You know, it's that Broadway training, and just, you know, she's just so smart. And in fact, when I first met her, she could dance salsa, by the way, amazingly, but she wasn't necessarily a full-on soneo singer yet. You know, and I showed her some of I took her out to a bunch of clubs to hear like the best singers in New York, and then I gave her CDs of stuff, and she just picked it up. She just found it so fascinating, like, you know, more interesting than jazz. You know, it wasn't, you had to do all these things at once. It wasn't, you know, you had to be in clave and on pitch and with a good rhythm and tell a story and try to rhyme the words, and then, you know, cue the band and the emotional content of what's going on in your soneos. I mean, she loved this challenge, and she just got it so well. I mean, it was just unbelievable. She did what a real professional singer does, which is she studied it and she understood it, you know, really well. And she started to send me things like, listen to this line, listen to that line, you know, which is, that's how you do it. You know, that's the vibe. So yeah, her name is Solange Pratt. I encourage everyone who wants to hear more from her to just Google her name. She has some videos out now of her solo music and all kinds of things like that. And the plan is, in fact, to bring, I mean, I haven't announced it, but let's do it right now, is that when we have these big festival shows in September, I am bringing her back. And so we're going to have we're going to do all of the classics for our fans and all that stuff, which I know they're really waiting for after COVID. So yeah, that's great. I mean, Solange is amazing. There's no question about it. Every single track she shines on like amazingly well. So, you know, so yeah, that's her.
Amazing. Nisha.
So now, when you plan to compose your songs and your tracks, what's the inspiration like that you have now? Right. Yes, and what you had then earlier. You know, what was it?
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID. I mean,
Right.
has something changed?
Yes, in fact, it has. Pre-COVID, you know, the band started kind of as me sort of proving to myself that I could do this and find a different set of source material to become salsa, right? Just out of curiosity, can I turn some of my favorite indie rock songs into salsa? And in fact, you know, at the time when the band started, the neighborhood of Williamsburg was still just filled with indie musicians everywhere. I mean, completely overrun with them and their coffee shops. And I realized it must have been somewhat like what it was in the Bronx or Spanish Harlem during the golden age of salsa, with like bands everywhere and clubs everywhere and everybody getting together and playing and writing new music. And I said, well, it must have the same kind of musical energy. And what I also noticed about salsa is, in general, is that, you know, there's 3 or 4 sort of main subjects that are sung about. Like one thing is the music itself. I mean, there's always a song about the music or the dancers, you know, muévete su cinturón, you know, like come
Yes.
bailar y gozar and the whole bit. There's songs about nostalgia and about food, which is nostalgia, or where you're from, you know, en Barranquilla me quedo, that sort of thing. And then there was a little time when there was the salsa con conciencia movement, you know, the Ruben Blades stuff and Siembra and all that. But that didn't really last too long. There are some great songs, obviously, like El Preso and all these that are like super deep, you know, warning songs and interesting songs. Oh, the Joe Arroyo stuff is amazing, all that stuff. And of course, there's love songs. But what was so interesting to me about the indie rock stuff was that with two things. One, that the bands here were really trying to find their own sound. Like, no, you know, that song was originally by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, right? Which the original rock song, which they don't sound anything like, you know, Animal Collective or TV on the Radio or The Cure or whatever. Everybody wanted their own sound, but also they were really focused on writing lyrics, you know, a lot of metaphor and a lot of ideas in the lyrics. And so I would always look for these songs that had great lyrics that the singer, Solange, could really dig into, you know. So I didn't want her to have to say, you know, bailar y gozar in every song or every other song or whatever. I mean, there's enough bands doing that already. They're great bands that, like, I don't even want to compete with them. They're great. And they've been doing it for years. So, but I wanted, you know, lyrics that are deep and have something that she could really dig into, especially with her soneos, where she could find layers and layers to sing about. And you know, because what the one thing you do when you are a working salsa band is you will play the same song 100 times or 200, you know, you play it a lot, right? Especially if the fans like it, you play it a lot. So I wanted the lyrics to be extra special. And that was a really important thing. Now that still is important post-COVID. But I have learned a lot as well over the last 10 years with the band. And one is that I'm going to sort of meet the audience a little more halfway. I was sort of, you know, I am also an indie musician myself, having lived in Williamsburg for 20 something years now. And I always like, oh, it's the purity of the music. But now I realize, like, you know, the purity of the music is something that is there already. I mean, I've got 11 live musicians on stage playing swinging salsa, right? It's there. And so if I want to do something by, you know, Whitney Houston or Madonna or something that was a pop song that the audience will maybe identify with a little bit easier than something by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, then,
Yes.
you know, then maybe why not? And in fact, I did do some arrangements. Like we were going to premiere a Madonna. I mentioned them because we were going to premiere a Madonna and a Whitney Houston song at that first show that was cut off by COVID. I'm going to sort of incorporate some more things like that. I learned a lot doing Love Song by The Cure, which has become like a big international salsa hit now, which I'm really happy about. But I learned a lot that, you know, just a little bit of familiarity goes a long way. You know, and I mean, of course, I really appreciate everyone that's listening to our music. And it's kind of really interesting and feels very nice to have people not know the songs are arrangements of other rock songs and still like the music. That's great. All right. But I think it would be kind of me, you know, kinder to our audience and our potential audience to just have a little more familiarity in it now and then. Not every song. We're not just going to do like pop hits, but that sprinkle those, you know, in our albums and things like that, I think will go a really long way and will help people absorb the rest of the music that we're doing. So that's what I'm going to be doing next with the band is just a few other things. And I mean, we're going to do some, you know, we're still going to do some wild indie tunes. I mean, I have a Sonic Youth arrangement ready to go. And I have a Morrissey one, like a sort of forgotten Morrissey tune that I'm going to do, even though I know
You're talking my music.
You know, yeah. I mean, I heard this more. I honestly, I mean, to be totally 100% on deck, I was never really into the Smiths, and it just sounded a little whiny to me. And I know,
Yeah.
I don't know. But okay, I got it. I got friends who love them. But then one night I heard this song on the radio start, and I was listening to one of the indie rock stations, and it was just rocking. And then Morrissey started singing, and I said, "Oh man, this is an amazing song." And I think the song was actually produced by one of the members of the Clash, and that's why it's like harder. It's like, ugh. But also it had beautiful lyrics, just fantastic lyrics. And I said, okay, now I had a whole new sort of view of what he could do and how I could work one of his songs, and that sort of thing, like a Radiohead song I'm working on. So a little bit. I mean, also the indie scene has kind of been co-opted now. It's like spread to the winds. So I'm not sort of limiting myself to like the last, but in 2010, 11, 12, when I'm arranging this, I'm sort of looking back over the last 10 years of indie rock. But now I'm looking wider. I'm looking at sort of the whole scope of popular music. And incorporating more things into so our repertoire will appeal to a wider amount of people with the same feeling of the WSO, of this live salsa dura band, and left field arrangements that aren't relying on the same sort of tropes that are part of the sort of tried and true thing that have been recorded 1,000 times. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. I mean, the third album is going to knock it out of the park. We'll see.
We're looking forward to it. Few more shout outs, please. Corin Paul Jackson, my brother, all the way in Utah. Good evening to you, or good morning, shall I say. He was going to join us, but next time he said, he's got a busy day. So next time, that's for sure, definitely. And there's a question here, which is from one of the audience there, from Susanna Farago. But before we ask that question, it's on the screen there, so give you time to think about. I'm going to play the song "Love Song" by Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, which is the cover from The Cure. Here we go. Let's listen to this. Enjoy.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am home again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am whole again. You feel like I am young again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am far again. However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay, I will always love you. Whatever words I say, I will always love you. I will always love you. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am free again. whenever I'm alone with you. You make me feel like I am clean again. However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay, I will always love you. Whatever words I say, I will always love you. I will always love you. Always, always, I will always love you.
Tú me haces sentir,
Tú me haces sentir aquí en el alma.
estando a solas contigo.
Me siento libre, me siento en casa, me siento en mi hogar.
Tú me haces sentir,
Cuando me hablas, me tocas, me acurrucas, me
estando a
abrazas.
solas contigo.
Cuando estoy sola, 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 sola a tu lado,
Tú me haces sentir,
tú me haces sentir aquí adentro.
estando a solas contigo.
Cuando estoy solita a tu lado, mi amor,
Tú me haces sentir,
tú me haces sentir así.
estando a solas contigo.
No necesito más que tu amor. Whenever I'm alone, whenever I'm alone with you, whenever I'm alone, whenever I'm alone with you, whenever I'm alone, whenever I'm alone with you, whenever I'm alone. However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay, I will always love you. Whatever words I say, I will always love you. I will always love you. I will always love you.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wow.
And that was Love Song from Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra from the album Dialectica, which was released in 2018. So we'll be talking about that album next. But let's answer the question for Susana Farago. What is the maestro's favorite song that inspired him in some ways, or more songs for that matter?
Wow, Susanna, thank you for that question. That's kind of an impossible question to answer. It's also like a 5-hour podcast on itself. I mean,
Yes, for sure.
My favorite. I mean, I really don't have a favorite song. There are things I love about so many different songs. I will say something very interesting though. Was that something that really inspired me to do the band before that I realized much later was that when I was in Europe, I was in Switzerland with Radio Mundial, the band I mentioned before, and we were playing the after party for a festival in Zurich, and we were added to the bill at the sort of the last minute, and the band that was closing. That was really the closing band, and we were just the after party band. The band that was the closing band was Pupi y los que son son. And I don't know if you're familiar with this. So Pupi, whose name is Cesar Pedroso, was the piano player for Los Van Van, and
Yes.
he wrote many of their hits. And then in the 90s, he left Los Van Van, and he got like the hot young musicians of Cuba around him, and he reworked some of his Los Van Van songs in this incredibly hard, aggressive style. And at the time that we saw him perform in Zurich, it was when George Bush Jr. was the president, and there was like an embargo against any Cuban bands. There were no Cuban bands coming to New York. No one had heard or seen this stuff for a number of years. And we were in Switzerland, and we we were backstage, and this unbelievable timba band that no one in New York had seen, like, took the stage, and we just, I mean, I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I was there, we felt like little kids, you know, at the first day of school. I mean, we were a 5-piece sort of Latin funk band with a drummer and doing a backbeat, kind of simple stuff, you know, it was fun. But what was going on stage was so unbelievably complex and advanced, and also it was really taking a chance with the music. Like, it was obvious. He said, you know what, I'm doing what I want to do. And if it's too much for you, too bad. I mean, there were 2 piano players, it was him and another piano player, and there were 4 or 5 horns. There were 5 percussionists in the back. I mean, it was just completely over the top, and it was amazing. It was funky and fun, and that stuck with me. Not just how great the band was, but just the idea of, like, you know, go for it. Just do your own thing, even if it's totally insane. Go for it and do it. And I listened to his record El Buena Gente wasn't even out yet, and when it came out, I realized that that's what he was playing there. This amazing record, El Buena Gente, and I started listening to it over and over again. It was very inspirational to start the band, to say, you know, he came out of left field with something that didn't sound like anything else, but also had one foot very firmly placed in the tradition of clave and everything else. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm not going to have a drum set. We're not going to have guitars. We're not going to have samplers. It's going to be the instrumentation of a traditional salsa band, you know, the New York 11-piece salsa orchestra with 3 percussion, 5 horns. And I'm going full traditional, but with an all new repertoire. And people are going to think it's totally insane, which it is and still is. But it worked. It worked because, for the same reason that Poopy's thing worked, it was like a very singular vision, you know, very singular, and that helped me a lot. So I don't know. I hope that answers some of the question. I encourage you to listen to El Buena Gente. Like, the first 3-4 tracks are just like, whew. They're almost impossible to parse unless you know something about salsa and rumba and timba already. It can, to people who only like salsa, they can be a little. They feel like they're beating you over the head a little bit, but just take your time with it, and you'll see how amazing they are. So, anyways, that helps.
Absolutely, they're absolutely awesome musicians. Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
but also I have to say, like, even before that, like, there were I had my own, like, big 3 that really inspired me to play the music in the first place. One was Tito Puente, of course. I mean, every salsa percussionist and arranger has to know Tito. And then Eddie Palmieri as well, because he did the same thing with, like, just this incredible sideways vision. And then the third one, which was probably the most important as far as, like, the beginning of it, was Cachao.
Absolutely.
And that record from 1957, the Descargas in miniature record. Somebody gave me this record. Someone I know was going to Cuba with, like, medical supplies in the 90s. And they would collect them on, you know, in Miami on a boat, like in the middle of the night, go over there, unload. The doctors would meet him at the docks, and sometimes he would spend a day or 2 there with them, and, you know, and he came back once and he said, you know, I know you're studying the music. I asked, you know, I went to a music shop and I asked, like, what should I bring my friend in America who's studying? And he's like, this one, and it was the Descargas record from 1957, which I found out later, of course, changed, you know, Latin music in New York. This record, like, was an instigator, because what this record is basically a record of jams, of the band jamming, and they made them into, like, 3-minute jams so they would fit on a 78 or fit on a, you know, but they're collected on a CD now. But what the reason why this is so important is before this, it came out during the Mambo era, and everything in the Mambo era was written to a T. I mean, Tito's charts and Machito and Tito Rodriguez. It's like, it's orchestrated. You know, you can't play a note that is not written on the chart, right? Even the percussionists are, like, super sticking to their patterns, you know, and all that stuff. And the Descargas record, nobody had ever recorded just a jam yet. I mean, Tito did a few things like top percussion and all that, but this is the full band. This is like the horn players are in on it, and they're just singing like soneos and playing solos for the whole album, and demonstrating in really clear fidelity all the different rhythms and the different feels and tempos. It was like a template for what was to come in the salsa world. And someone told me this once, a lot of the musicians that were playing the mambo at the time were like, can we try recording more like this? Can we get a little looser? And sure enough, it was only a few years later when the real like salsa era began, and the mambo era started fading away, and things got very loose on the record. So this is one of the albums, that Ka-Chow record. I every time I have a student, I just say, this is the first thing you have to listen to, because pretty much, not everything, but like 90% of the technique and the sound of the drums that you have to get, and the interaction between the players is found in this one record, and it's not buried under arrangements. It's just a groove. Like everyone is every track is a feel that you have to understand, and you have to understand the interactions, and and you can hear it very clearly. So, yeah, I hope that helps answer the question, but I encourage anyone who hasn't heard this to go listen to this Ka-Chow record. Sometimes it's just called Descargas.
Yes.
Sometimes it's called Descargas en miniature. But you should check it out. And also what you'll notice is that if you're a real salsa head, you'll notice that on almost every salsa record, they're quoting something from this album. For example, the album starts with the famous bass line, the dun 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 dun, boom, boom, bing, boom, bing, bing, boom, boom. That one, right? Which is like, bass players quote this constantly. I quote it. I put it in my charts, right? So that album continues to have influence constantly on nearly every record. So, yeah, you're welcome, Susanna. Thank you for the question.
Great question indeed. Okay, well, let's have one more track, and then Nisha's got, I think, some questions, and then I've got a few more. One of the ones I've got for you is to do with the music, indie music, but I'll come back to that shortly.
Sure.
I listen to your music continuously, and one of the songs that I really, really love is on the second album, Dialectica. It's called The Hardest Button to Button. I love that song. It's absolutely awesome, which will lead me to the next question, yeah? Because you mentioned Tito Rodriguez earlier on, so let's come to that. Let's see if we can marry the question up with the music.
My mother birthed and we were checking it out. It was a baby boy, so bottom to bottom.
The hardest bottom to bottom.
Hardest, hardest.
The hardest bottom to bottom.
Wow, came out great.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Love it.
Absolutely amazing. I know one of the things I can compliment you on is your sound is so crystal in terms of your instruments are so nicely arranged, and you can feel each and every one of those instruments.
Yeah,
And it's just nice and neat and clean sound.
I'm
Thank
very
you for
happy
that.
the way that one came out. The everything came out great. I think that's a real testament to sort of recording it all together. You know, recording it just as a full working band, and just not being afraid to say we don't need the metronome and all the crutches. Like, we know how to swing this. We've been looking at the dancers as we play this song for a year. Let's just go. You know, remember what it looks like, what it feels like in the club, and let's do it. And that's a testament to that. Yeah, and also we had it mixed. You know, we recorded it at a very nice place and like had it mixed very well. And I'm very happy the way it came out. It really sounds great. It really does. It still sounds great.
Okay, I've got one more simple, very, very simple question for the vinyl heads. This DJ Caramello in the house, Corinne Paul Jackson, and there'll be a few. Eddie Hunt was on earlier on, so I'm
Right.
sure they're still listening in the background. Do you have your albums available on vinyl?
We don't have Dialectica on vinyl. We have we had a few tracks, maybe 3 or 4 from the first album that were on vinyl that were done by different people. But we never did Dialectica on vinyl. I just know that it was everything was sort of transitioning to the digital world, and we found that people didn't even want CDs at that time. In 2018, and I mean since 2018, since we recorded that, especially the vinyl scene has just exploded. I mean, it was getting bigger, but it's really gotten a lot bigger since then. So
It's huge.
it's still in my mind now to do it. So I made sure to get like the I have the versions ready for vinyl mastering, the 2 tracks ready to go for that. So maybe we'll do it at some point. I don't know. I think, at some point we'll probably do it as sort of a collector's edition of like 500 or something like that.
No, I think you would do so well. There's 3. You've already got 3 or 4 guys already wanting one.
Yeah.
Even the DJ Caramello, who's in the Netherlands, said, "Does Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra have their songs on vinyl?" And Corinne Paul Jackson is saying, "Awesome question, man."
Good question. Now, it's good to know. That's very motivating for me to do.
And he's Caramel is coming back by saying, "I want it on vinyl." So
Yeah.
and there's me as well. This is what I wanted to
Sure.
ask you. Where can I get your vinyl
Well, I
stuff?
will
But
let
this-
you know. I'll let you know first. I mean, I'm sure Dialectica would sound amazing on vinyl. There's no question.
I'm telling you, it would be
Sound-
awesome. And I mentioned to Corin earlier on because he was going to join us today, but because of timing and everything, it's just not happened. He's saying, "Please let me know when you're bringing him back on, and we'll take it from there." So I think when you release your albums, you should come and join us. Then we'll get all the vinyl heads in one go,
Great.
and there you go. You'll have pre-orders there.
I'll get a little like one of those little codes, and I'll just hold it up, and everyone can hold their phone to the screen and they'll order it right away.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the best way to do. What do you think, guys? Give us your feedback on that one. Nisha.
So my question is, when you, in 2009, 2011, when you started and you had your own album first, and before that, it was, as you said, Salsa Mambo, and you started with indie. And do you take the credit of bringing the indie lovers to the salsa scene? I mean, I'm sure. I mean, if I was there, because it took me a very, very long time to relate with the music.
Right.
Initially, I just couldn't relate with it. It took me the longest time. Even the language.
Right.
People who do not know Spanish, it's difficult for them to relate. So this definitely makes it much, much easier to connect with the music.
Right.
There are some people who first fall in love with the music and then they listen to the lyrics. There are some who love the lyrics, love the vocals, and then they enjoy the
Right.
they sing. Yeah. So
Right. Yes. I mean, I don't know if I deserve the credit, but I'll take the credit for doing that. I mean, these are the salsa scene and the indie scene in New York were totally separate. I mean, they have nothing to do with each other, really. I mean, some people might have liked both, and honestly, like the indie scene is like to the indie scene, we're always going to be a bit of a novelty, right? I mean, most of them are not like learning how to dance salsa, like really, and they're not like going out and buying Tito Puente records suddenly. But some of them are. Some of them have been. I mean, I've gotten emails from people and contacts from them saying, you introduced me to this whole world of music, and I wish that more music was like this, and blah blah blah. They don't know that there's an entire world, thousands and thousands of salsa records they can listen to. So yeah, I mean, we definitely are bringing them together. I think the thing that we did, at least at the time, that was probably more important than that, because we always have indie people that are really into music coming to our shows, but it gets very intimidating to them, because as soon as we start playing, the dance floor fills up with like hardcore salsa dancers. I mean, you can't stand there and do like the indie rock bounce, when there's couples twirling all around you. It gets kind of intimidating. But I think more important than that, I think, is that we gave the young people who are taking the dance classes, and many of the young Latinos even here who are now 4th, 5th generation down the line immigrants. Many of them don't even speak Spanish. We gave them sort of a band that is sort of their generation a little bit more, that they could come and know the songs. And sometimes I'll have fans at the show saying, I was shopping and I heard one of your songs, but someone's covering you, like it wasn't you. But what they heard was the original. And they loved it. And just for them to make that connection is very special. It puts them in an interesting place. So I think we helped reintroduce the music in an exciting way to a new generation. Or at least to give them something to be excited about. Like, let's go see the WSO, and that sort of thing. But I mean, there is crossover between the indie and the salsa scene, but it's still pretty separate. I mean, honestly, once if you don't know anything about salsa dancing and you walk into a club and there's 200, 300 couples doing what looks like witchcraft out there, like how do they know? I mean, it's very intense. I used to say, we should have like a little velvet roped off section for the indie people to stand, because they'll all stand together and be like, woo, and just rope it off so they're comfortable in there drinking and they can watch the dancers, but they're not suddenly in the middle of the dance floor and feeling awkward. So
I would be on the indie section, I think.
Okay. That's fine. That's great. It'll be right up front, I promise.
Right up front, yeah. Have you ever considered working with any of the indie bands and bringing them on board to do something?
Yeah, that's on sort of my wish list for the band. When after we made the first album, I thought, I made sort of a 5-album plan, and one of those was to like have guest artists from the other. I actually wanted to do an album of the Latin indie bands. Bands like Bomba. I mean, arrangements of their songs.
Yes.
Bands like Bomba Stereo. And,
yes.
Bands like that, and then we're gonna have some guest artists from there doing it. But also, like, we asked a few people, and they're like, I don't know anything about salsa. What am I gonna do? I mean, they're really intimidated. Like, it's because honestly, like, when you take their song and you put it in clave and you add horns and you get rid of all the guitars and the backbeat, I mean, it's a whole nother trip. But I think it would work great with some of the Latin bands. So yeah, it's on my wish list to get to eventually.
I saw Cure back. Oh my God! When I was in my 20s, that was a long time ago. Yeah. In Manchester, and the live concert was just absolutely mind blowing. They're such an amazing band. But I'd like to play a track from the very first song that you mentioned, "My Girls" from Animal Collective. Just give the guys some feedback as to what kind of music we're talking about.
Oh, sure.
Because not everybody knows what indie music is. So here we go.
Oh, yeah.
And this is Animal Collective, "My Girls." Nice build up.
There isn't much that feels like me. The silent soul and all I'll be. With the little girl and my smiles. I only want across the house. There isn't much that feels like me. The silent soul and all I'll be. With the little girl and my smiles.
So guys, there you are. Animal Collective, "My Girls." A bit of indie music for you. So what are your future plans?
Well, the future plans are to continue to play some of the festivals that we're going to start playing in September. And I'm going to start writing as if the band is going to be working again, and get a stack of arrangements ready to go. And then I'll make a decision at that point, whether we're going to sort of stick to the festival circuit or whether we're going to be sort of more of a working band here in New York, in which case, I'll need some new players. And I mean, it's New York City. I'll find them all. So yeah, that's the immediate plan. The plan is basically to keep moving forward, but try to sort of negotiate the post-COVID, landscape of this, along with our level of popularity, that we can try to get our music out there more, our old music out, and which path shall we walk? Maybe we'll be a band with, like some other bands in New York, with two singers, and we will have, we can bring Solange back and another singer, and we can do our shows together. And sometimes we'll have, we'll go on tour with Solange and the other singer. Sometimes it'll just be one, something like that. It might be more like the Williamsburg Salsa Collective playing my arrangements in the future.
Sounds like an awesome plan.
Yeah, but I don't know, but it's going to be, we're going to make more music and keep everybody dancing. That's the plan. So
amazing. So Corinne Paul Jackson mentioned a track from the second album, Lonely Boy. So if I may play that, are you okay with that? It's one of his favorites, he said. So this is for you, Corinne. Until next time, when we have Gianni back, let's listen to Lonely Boy. Share the love. Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra in the house.
to see, but I came to love you anyway. So you pull my heart out and I don't mind bleeding. Any old time you keep me waiting, waiting, waiting. Oh, I got a love that keeps me waiting. Oh, I got a love that keeps me waiting. I'm a lonely girl, you're a lonely boy. Oh, I got a love that keeps me waiting. Well, your mama kept you, but your daddy left you, and I should have done you just the same. But I came to love you. Am I going to bleed? Hey, any old time you keep me waiting, waiting, waiting. Oh, I got the love that keeps me waiting. Oh, I got a love that keeps me waiting. I'm a lonely girl, you're a lonely boy. Oh, I got a love that keeps me waiting. Me tienes esperándote. Ay, no ves que te estoy esperando todita la vida, te sigo esperando. Ay, que no ves que te llamo y te busco y no sé cómo hacer. Ay, yo no quiero estar sola. No, 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 no. Tengo un amor que me tiene esperando todita la vida, me tiene esperando. Me tiene, me tiene, me tiene, me tiene, me tiene, me tiene, me tiene esperando. Que me tiene esperando. Que me tiene esperando. Que me tiene esperando. Me tiene esperando, esperando. Ay, mi corazón, me tiene así mi corazón. Well, I'm so above you and it's plain to see, but I came to love you anyway. So you pull my heart out and I don't mind bleeding. No, any old time you keep me waiting, waiting, waiting. I got a love that keeps me waiting.
Hey there, Corwin, that's for you. Lonely boy. I hope you're not lonely out there in Utah. And you're enjoying the evening listening to us. This is Saturday Night Live with Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. And my special guest is Nisha Gomez, all the way from Mumbai in India. What time is it there now?
It's 11:35 p.m.
PM. Okay, nearly midnight. Okay, cool. So, Nisha, your turn to ask the question. Go for it.
I was so busy dancing and so engrossed enjoying the music.
Oh, good.
And it's so natural that when you listen to um, the English lyrics, there is a different element and a different flavor that comes into your dancing. I mean,
Right. Yes,
the,
there is, because you're following the emotional content of the song. I think a little
yes,
bit, it's much easier to do. I know. I found that it really. I mean, my Spanish is barely passable, but when I find a salsa song that I really love, I'll translate it. I'll make sure I know the lyrics. But it's not easy to do, especially when you're in a club and you hear something you just don't know. But yeah, it's true, and also the lyrics make a big difference. Like I want to mention this about the Animal Collective song that you played. So that song came out. When it came out, it was right after the 2008 economic crash, and the song was kind of about that in a very sideways way. So and when I heard the lyrics, I realized that what they were singing about was trying to not be greedy, trying to not, about, and the first stanza is, there isn't much I feel I need, a solid soul and the blood I bleed, with a little girl and by my spouse, I only want a proper house. And it's just so gorgeous. It's about, I'm not trying to steal millions from anyone. I just want to be able to live. And it's so interesting when you find a song with these kind of lyrics and you start to sing them, and when you're dancing, like with Lonely Boy, it's kind of this tongue-in-cheek funny appeal to someone, saying, baby, I'm so lonely, I need you. But obviously he's not that lonely, but it's funny. Like, it's obvious that the singer is aware that it's a tongue-in-cheek appeal, and it's great to know that when you're dancing. It's really great. So, and this is, I mean, there's no question that lyrics are important, especially in the songs where lyrics are important. Like if the song is just, there are entire songs about, just the timbale player, or just the dance floor, and that's okay. Those lyrics aren't as important. But when you take a song like like La Rebelión, No Le Pega La Negra, like that's an important song. That's like, the lyrics are important. And so like El Preso, I mentioned that one earlier. I was doing an event once with a DJ, a young Latin DJ who had never heard El Preso before. And I said, why don't you play some salsa? Play El Preso. It's great. And he quickly downloaded it. And I was just playing percussion and he was DJing. Like there was no band. It was just us two. And after the show, he said, man, he said, they don't make them like that anymore. Like the lyrics are incredible. And the lyrics are really incredible to that song. I mean, it's from the point of view of a prisoner, and he's in the prison and he can see the city, and he's warning people like, my life is these four walls. I made so many mistakes. Like, don't make the same mistakes as me. And behind him is this unbelievably desperate sound. The band sounds so desperate, like they're banging on the walls of the prison, like help. It's just incredible. But that's a song, just like you said, where like when I first heard it, I did not know what it was about, and the music was so powerful. I just looked it all up, what he was saying, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it's astonishing. So yeah, it does help a lot to know the lyrics, and I think that's helped us a lot with the dance scene in New York, where English is like 90% of our fans' first language. So it definitely helps. But it also causes a little bit of pushback, by the way, from the traditionalists. At least it did when we started, But that's to be expected. I tell people who want to start their own band, I said, listen, there's never been a new salsa band that comes along where the old timers don't talk about you in a bad way. Like you have to, that's just the game. You have to prove yourself.
Absolutely, and you've done a great job. 2 albums behind you, and looking forward to the third one. When you write your music, what is the one of the main thing that you look at your personal experience, or do you look at the political side of what's going on around you, the social environment you take into consideration, what is going on, maybe in a
Well, my first the first thing I want to do is when I find a song that I really like, I want to keep the feeling of the song in the salsa version. So that means I'm not going to just do a straight cover of the song, like just, put the chord changes and do it. I'm trying to bring something out in the arrangement that is the feeling of the original rock song. And the original rock song does not have bongos and congas and timbales and montunos. And it's guitars and drums, most of them. So I'm trying to capture that feeling in the genre that I'm in. All right. So, for example, one of the fan favorites here in New York is always Hold On, which is a Alabama Shake song that we did. Now, the original song is in a major key, and it sounds it sounds sort of hopeful, but the lyrics are kind of are almost like the frisson is between the lyrics and the major key. The lyrics are kind of like, this woman's been through so much. She's been through such sadness, and she's trying to hold on. But I found that in salsa, when you do a major key, it's too happy. It just sounds too happy and too party. So I put it in a minor key. I just made the whole thing minor, and it was everything she was trying to say in the lyrics just came out once I changed the key. The main thing I'm trying to do is try to capture the feeling of the song, whether the song is political or romantic or whatever. That is going to be in there. I mean, I have to bring that in, but I'm not looking to the outside world necessarily, unless it's. I mean, maybe I am. I don't even know it. Like with my girls, everybody in New York was like panicking about the economic collapse. What's going on? Finance is such a big deal here. And then that beautiful song came out about, that addressed it in a sideways way. But what I'm trying to do is really capture the feeling of it, like with The Lonely Boy, that the original Black Keys song has this kind of drive, this just powerful drive where you can feel you can feel how sort of horny he is, for lack of a better word, in the song, but he's cool about it, you can feel it. And so I tried to capture that in the salsa version with all the horns and the mambo section and this and that, So yeah, the biggest thing is to translate the song accurately without being a slave to the version, like really make it into a salsa tune. Sometimes I say like, as if it was written as an original salsa song in 1971 in New York in the salsa dura era, as if that was when the song was written. Not necessarily now, even though I use modern elements, but you understand, right?
Yeah. A few more shout outs. Hey, Pamela, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us this evening. Jennifer Ford, hello, lovely. How are you? Hope you're okay. Rumbera de Andalusia, and also to Marie. She was here just a second ago, all the way in sunny California. Thank you for tuning in. Got a few more questions for you. The time now is, wow, we've been into the show 1 hour, 40 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been excellent,
Great.
absolutely amazing. So I'm going to play a track now from your first album from 2011, the Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, Young Folks. Nice fresh sound. So this is Young Folks by Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. And then we got a few more questions before we wrap up. Here we go.
things I did before, told you how I used to be. Would you go along with someone like me? If you know my story word for word, had all of my history, would you go along with someone like me? I lived before and had my share, didn't lead nowhere. I would go along with someone like you. It doesn't matter what you did, you were hanging with. We could stick around and see this night through. And we don't care about the young folks talking about the young style. And we don't care about the old folks talking about the old style too. And we don't care about the wrong folks about their own style. All we care about is talking, talking on me and you, talking on me and you, talking on me and you, talking on me and you. Usually when things has gone this far, people tend to disappear. No one will surprise me unless you do. I can tell there's something going on, hours seem to disappear. Everyone is leaving, I'm still with you. It doesn't matter what we do, where we are going to. We can stick around and see this night through. And we don't care about the young folks talking about the young style. And we don't care about the old folks talking about the old style too. And we don't care about their own folks talking about their own style. All we care about is talking, talking only me and you, talking only me and you, talking only me and you, talking only me and you. No me importa.
It doesn't matter what we do or where we're going to, I'm still with you.
A mí no me importa ni lo que hiciste ni con quién
It
estuviste.
doesn't matter what we do or where we're going to, I'm still with
No
you.
te voy a dejar si te muestras como un libro y me enseñas tu
It doesn't
alma.
matter what we do or where we're going to, I'm still with you.
Me quedo contigo, sin importar lo que venga, mi
It doesn't
amor.
matter what we do or where we're going to, I'm still with you. We can stick around and see the night through.
Quiero que hablemos con más que palabras.
We can stick around and see the night through.
Toda la noche mirando la
We can stick
luna.
around and see the night through.
Juntitos nos vamos a quedar.
We can stick around and see the night through.
care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you. All we care about is talking, talking, only me and you.
Wow. Hey,
It's an opera.
it's an opera. Absolutely amazing. What can I say? Nisha is saying that I'm in love with this track. I think all the ladies in the room are. Hey, Jennifer, I hope you're keeping well and looking after yourself.
Thank
Sending
you.
you lots of hugs from all of us here in the room. David, thank you for tuning in. And yes, absolutely right. It's a stunning jam. Absolutely amazing. And I know you came across the show by Cast of Chance, and it's very interesting. Well, we're here every week, so join us anytime. And okay, so let's talk about the future of Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. What are your plans? We've got about 15 minutes left, but it doesn't matter if it goes over. I'm not even looking at the time because I'm enjoying myself so much. Your music and your company, and of course the beautiful Nisha as well. And
Sure.
she's going to fire the question after this one. So please do tell us.
Well, we're getting back onto the boards, as they say, in September, with a few shows, a few local shows, and then I'll figure out if I'm going to make the turn the band into a continual working band, week to week, like we were doing prior to COVID here, or whether I'm going to sort of ease into it and we'll do the larger festivals while I prepare music for the next record. So I'm still sort of waiting. It's still a little bit of wait and see because not all of my players are back in New York right now. So it's still a little bit of wait and see, like what the scene is like and everything. But as long as the festivals are calling and they want to bring us all back, I mean, we're playing. So we want to play. So the plan is sometime in probably 2022 to start working on another album. And we're going to do it, the way you're supposed to make a salsa record, which is to get everybody in the room and count 1, 2, 3, 4, and play it. So by that time, the band will be working steadily for at least a few months before we record, so everybody knows the charts and knows the feeling of the songs. And just like young folks, I mean, that was one take. And the only extra little things were like we saved the backup vocals for another room, and I think, and that was it. But I mean, that was all 11 of us. The only thing you didn't hear was me going 1, 2, 3, 4 at the beginning, but that was one take. So it really helps a lot. So that's the plans. The plan is towards the end of this year, September, we start up playing again. And then sometime in 2022, make the third album. And then we'll see you in Manchester and India, wherever. We're coming, Get the plane tickets. That's the next.
Yes, I've just put the link up for the Manchester International Festival for you, just to have a look at, to see
Great.
later on exactly what the gig is all about. Nisha.
So I have this question that keeps coming to my mind now because people, I hear so many of them saying that, okay, this could go on till 2015, 2025,
Right.
and even more years, maybe 15, 20 years, or we just have to live with this. So I'm just wondering whether what what could be done, what can be done, so that we can continue with the socials and we can continue with the dancing. So
Right.
instead of having like how we had the drive-in theaters,
Right.
open air dance.
Right.
I mean, rather than having a studio, I mean,
Right.
open air dance arenas where you could have the band and so
Yes.
is that one possibility that the bands or the organizers would be thinking about?
Yes,
At
I
least
think they tried. They did a few early shows here where they would have a salsa band where they would have like a circle painted, on the dance floor or something, and you had to sort of stay in your circle with your partner, so everyone was distanced. But it just didn't work out. I mean, it was a little absurd. I mean, the trick, the only key to this is a universal vaccines, is like ending the vaccine hesitancy, because in America now there's only a few hundred people. There's a few hundred people a day that are dying, but 100% of the people who are dying from COVID have not been vaccinated. So if you're vaccinated, even if you get sick with one of the variants or something, it's not that severe and it's better. So I mean, the trick is really this, like, to just keep this message going and to continually, I mean, we're going to have to deal with this, we're going to have to deal with it. So if there's going to be a salsa scene that is anything like what it was before COVID, people are going to have to be vaccinated, and we have to have a natural defense against this thing, because even before COVID, we have flu season here in New York, and 30% of the people get the flu every year, and it didn't kill too many people, but it went around, and I'm sure some of it spread in the clubs, the salsa clubs and everything. You didn't know you have it, and you're dancing with multiple people and whatever, blowing on a trombone all night, spreading your germs everywhere. So, but this is different. I mean, COVID is obviously different. So I think that's what it's got to be that, because if it starts killing people again, we're going to have more lockdowns. We are, especially in the places in the United States where people are still listening and going out to salsa all the time, which is really New York and Los Angeles, Chicago. Those are the big three here where there are salsa nights where, where regularly you'll get multiple hundreds of people, thousands of people showing up to it. A really good example of this is we have a video for Sunshine. It's the first song on Dialectica, and we played at Bryant Park. And prior to COVID, they would have a salsa show there every year, one show, one band, and there were 3,000 people there. I mean, it's astonishing to watch. It looks so crazy now that there's COVID, but this is representative of the audience in New York, of the salsa audience, and all those people want to be able to go to the clubs, but it's going to take vaccination to do it. It's the only way. There's no other way around it.
Absolutely.
I mean, people trust their iPhones and the science behind that. So, I mean, I think that I can understand the vaccine hesitancy, but also, like, in the US, like, we don't have people with polio anymore, or measles, or mumps, or rubella, or hepatitis, or any of these things that we vaccinate kids for before they go to school. And I think, there's a certain amount of re-education has to happen. We got so far away from the danger that you forget what the danger actually is. So
I think as people, we don't understand sometimes the importance when we come up with all sorts of ideas in our head, but that they're not necessarily factual, true, or I think it's important for people to stay safe, stay healthy, and
absolutely,
and protect yourself, and make sure you get the vaccination. That's it. Simple story. That's it. There's nothing ifs and buts.
It's not very hard. It's not.
No.
It's actually quite easy. It's been twisted into some horrible political thing here, which is really terrible. But I mean, in New York, we're like over 70% vaccinated now. I think it is, and everything's theoretically open again. Although many of the clubs are requiring full vaccinations for all their patrons to protect their staff, especially. So and not everybody has done it yet. So, I mean, we'll get there. There's no other solution. If we're going to have a vital salsa scene that continues, this has to happen.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm requiring it. I told the whole band, like, everybody has to be fully vaccinated by the time we start to play in September, right? Everybody's got to do it, and they're all good with it. They know. So.
I think we'll get there. I think it's just a matter of time.
Yes.
It won't be that long. It will be long enough for people to realize that it's important to have it, and then they'll get it done, because it's like following sheep, isn't it, really? So
right. And also, I mean, I know they're working on a pill too, and I mean that's gonna help some people get over the hump.
Yes.
It's especially the people with the crazy conspiracy theories or whatever. You just take a pill. Just take it with your breakfast or whatever, and you're done. Like for a year.
Done. That's it.
So that's what it'll take.
So if you were to pick one song from both your albums, which one would be your would be your favorite? Because that will be our exit song for this evening. But before we do that, a few words from Nisha, and then a few words from you, and then I'll say a few words, and then the music, and then there we are. Okay. It's been an interesting evening, educational. Nisha.
Thank you for having me as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nisha.
Yeah, thank you, DJ Amos, for having me. I am always very happy to be here with you. There is so much to learn, and the music is absolutely stunning, amazing. And today was outstanding because I could really, really relate with it, and I could understand everything that I was listening to. So that is very special, for me. And it's a pleasure meeting you. So I'm hoping, and I'm waiting for that day when I could be there in New York and see the entire band perform, that orchestra perform. I'm just waiting for that day.
Oh, thank you. I hope
and
so.
I would love to dance. I would love to dance.
For sure. We will dance for sure. Definitely. Let's see. Well, one that we haven't done, that you haven't played, but that was popular in New York is Les Artistes by Santi Gold, which is kind of a shout out to all the artists that come to New York and try to make it on their own terms and, face endless challenges. And then on Dialectica, maybe the first song, Sunshine. So
Sunshine, yeah, that's one of the ones that I was thinking of. So I've got both of them here. I've got both the albums. Okay. A quick shout out to Tony Salsa King Gonzalez. He's camping. He's an amazing DJ from Chicago. Hey man,
Hey Tony.
Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra doing some vinyls as well. So here's another vinyl head.
Oh,
get your checkbook out.
Coming.
Yes, it's coming. So we'll keep you in the loop there. So I'll play this Les Artistes first, and then the other one as well. Why not? And this is Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra live on Saturday Night Live with DJ Amos and Nisha Gomez, all the way in Mumbai, India. And this is Les Artistes. Here we go.
Searching for to tell it straight. I'm trying to build a wall, walking by myself down avenues, the reek of time to kill. If you see me, keep going, be a pass-by waiver. Build me up, bring me down, just leave me at your name dropper. Stop trying to catch my eye, I see you do your fourth figure. Just make it easy on my but you cannot see me later. You don't know me, I am an introvert, an excavator. I'm ducking out from now my face and dodgy elevators. Rip up and suddenly I find myself an innovator. I can say I hope it will be worth what I give up. If I could stand up me for the things that I believe, I can say I hope it will be worth what I give up. If I could stand up me for the things that I believe.
What I'm searching for. 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 What I'm searching for.
Change, 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 change. Don't wanna get him out of my skin. Tell you what, if I'ma shake this, I'ma make this something worth dreaming
What I'm searching for. 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 What I'm searching for.
Salsa with the Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. Wow. DJ Muzu is in the house as well. A shout out to DJ Muzu. How are you doing, my brother? We've missed you today. He's my co-presenter, and we normally do Sunday night and also Saturday night with special guests as well on Saturday Night Live. We've missed you today, but next time we'll catch you also. Not a problem. Wow, what an amazing track. That's so nicely written. Have you thought about doing a bolero?
Yes, in fact, on the first album, the LCD sound system track that we do is kind of a bolero. It's "Someone Great," one of their awesome songs
Yes.
about a breakup. Is almost a bolero. It's not a full on. It's I don't know what to call it. It's a made up rhythm, sort of bachata bolero kind of thing. But yeah, we I thought about it, especially with Solange's amazing voice. I mean, she would be really great with like a pure bolero. So maybe we'll get to one with the next album. Not sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That'd be great. So, from me, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you so very much for taking your time out and sharing your amazing stories and educating us with the history of Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. I've been following you guys since 2011,
Amazing.
and believe me, your music is phenomenal. It's crisp, it's clear, it's energetic, and when you play some of your tracks on the dance floor, boom.
Wow. Thank you.
You know, that's how I describe your music. It's simply amazing. I remember playing it for the very first time on radio. Your album when it came out in 2011 on Global Vibes. The very first track I played was from the first album, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, Let me just go back to it, and it
Was it
was "Wolf Like Me."
Wolf?
Wow,
Oh yeah. Right. Gosh, I forgot so much. Yeah. Yeah. That one. That one took off.
the radio still, just the whole thing on fire. We had people listening in Japan, South Africa, in
Yeah.
India, across Europe, in the States, and
Yeah.
everybody wanted to know who this
Great.
Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra was. You know, that's the feedback I got back in them days. But there was no way to connect with you guys. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. Um,
Yeah.
but it was just so fully booked up, and I was also doing other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
Well,
no,
thank you
it
for spinning us so early. You know, it took a lot of people a while to sort of parse what was going on. That it was sort of a new sound and new chords and new sort of everything. But thank you for understanding that right away. And
no, it's just like I said before. I think definitely sure it was Luby who gave me a heads up and said, "Hey man, you got to check this guy, this new group out,
yeah,
Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, blah 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 blah." And wow, the rest is just history. You know,
yeah.
got all your music. I just need the vinyls now, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
That's me done.
We'll get there.
Um, So I can sum it up as you brought a lot of from your dialectic album "Sunshine" into everybody's life with your music.
Sure.
So thank you very much. Maybe a few words from you, then we'll play out on "Sunshine."
Sure. Well, just thank you, Nisha, and thank you, Amos, for having me. It's been a pleasure. I love when there's enough time to really talk like this and just hang out, and it's been great. And to everybody commenting, and I really appreciate you guys listening and tuning in, and stick around for more new music. And I hope that when all the madness is over, we can come on tour and come to wherever you are and do it live.
Yes, I'll introduce you definitely to Manchester International Festival as well,
Great.
and we'll take it from there. So, guys, that's it. Thank you very much from myself. Saturday Night Live, just over 2 hours gone, so fast with some great music, lots of banter, and we've missed DJ Muzo tonight. But next time, like he says on the chat there, I'm going to play out with Sunshine. But before I do that, Nisha, thank you. Your presence is always electric and magnificent, beautiful as you are, staying up so late to join us. I appreciate your time and your input in what we do. As always, absolutely amazing. So this is Sunshine, I Can Fly by Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra. We're back next week as well for more, with more music and more guests. But in the meantime, thank you very much, Gianni. It's an absolute pleasure. And give our love to the family and your band when you talk to them. And it'd be great to have you back with your third album, and we can
Let's do
take
it.
it from there. And let's see what Tony's saying. Tony's saying thank you. So
Thanks, Tony.
there we are. Here we go. This is Sunshine. man. Wow, sunshine, I can fly. What can I say? Just amazing. DJ Muzu's getting all excited there. Thanks for your chat messages there. Yeah, baby. That's his favorite phrase. Okay, guys. So one more track from Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, and this is the first time I ever played the song when I first received the CD, the original release. And this is Wolf Like Me, and then we'll come back and say our goodbyes.
Won't you lay hands on me? Mirror the melody, transfer the tragedy. Got a curse I cannot lift. Chance when the sunset shifts. When the moon is round and full, gotta bust that bus, gotta get that fish. We could jet in the stolen car, but I bet we wouldn't get too far. For the transformation, take some blood, last night, some brave gets late. But God, I like it. My heart's afraid, my body's strained. But God, I like it. My mind has changed, my body's framed. But God, I like it. My heart's afraid, my body's strained. But God, I like it. Church me your daybreak, I'll turn you out in kind. When the moon is round and full, gonna teach you tricks that could blow your mind, blow mind. If it all I recognize, you're the hideous thing inside. If there ever was a lucky kind, it's you. I know it's strange, another way to get to know you. You'll never know unless we go, so let it show you. I know it's strange, another way to get to know you. We've got to know, here comes the moon, so let it show you now. Dreamy, oh, dreamer.
I like it. I love it.
Open my hands, let it wave on yours. Feel me complete down to my car. Open my heart, and let it bleed on yours.
See you soon, Tony. Stay safe.
Show you what all that I have is for. Show you what all that. Let me show you. Let me show you what that all is for.
Hey, Lena, you're absolutely right. A real jam. we're kicking bass here today.
Yeah, we're howling forever. Oh, oh, we're howling forever. Oh, oh, my mind shakes, my body strains, but God, I like it. My eyes are playing, my body strains, but God, I like it. My body shakes, my body strains, but God, I like it. My heart will play, my body strains, but God, I like it.
Love it. Go, Nisha, go.
Right.
Oh, wow. What a way to go out. DJ
Yeah.
Muzu is asking the question. No, it's not too late, bro.
I see. No, behind me is not the awards we won were like internet awards, like best of the year kind of things. But they never sent me anything. But no, this is on the wall is inspiration basically, and I rotate them once in a while. Like there's a Tito Puente record here, and there's an Eddie Palmieri record there, and there's a Larry Harlow's first record up there. And then these other two are our records. Like there's the first one, and there's Dialectica. It's opposite to me. So there's Dialectica right back there. And
There
then
you are, Muzu.
that's all. But I rotate them once in a while, just to keep the ideas fresh.
I'll just
But
share a
that-
little story with you because you mentioned Eddie Palmieri a few times. They performed at Manchester College of Music here.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing auditorium where you can
Great.
have proper orchestras there, and the sound, the way they've done this is just absolutely mind-blowing. And I had the pleasure of spending some time with him, and at the end of the night I was in the dressing room with the guys, and I said to Eddie, why don't you come out with us for a night out to Copacabana in Manchester?
Oh.
And he said he's really, really tired. He'd love to have a drink with us, but take the band out. So I did.
Oh, great.
And I rammed 7 people in a 5-seater car.
Nice. That's excellent.
And we went to Copacabana and
man.
spent the whole night with them. So yeah, it was one of my first experiences of meeting with
Maestro.
amazing musicians, the
Yeah.
maestro himself.
Oh yeah. And what's really incredible? I mean, he's 82 now, and he's still performing and still going.
I know. The guy's just phenomenal, just absolutely amazing. So once again, thank you very much for joining us this evening, and a huge thanks to all the listeners as well, our friends who joined us this evening, for your comments, your feedback, and the laughs and the love you sent while the music was playing. Just absolutely thrilling and amazing.
Right.
As always, it's always a pleasure to have you. Without you, listeners, I'd just be talking to myself with Nisha and Jani there. So you guys are also very, very important. Nisha.
By the end of the evening, I'm like literally singing. At the end of the song, I'm like singing the song in my mind, like I just mentioned there. And I'm so, the songs have been so heartwarming, and I can't wait to download all the tracks, or I think I'll get them on iTunes,
Yeah.
Spotify.
Yeah.
So it will be such a pleasure to listen to them and dance to them, and especially relate with the understand the lyrics. And I think that is stunning. That is really good.
Great.
I mean, it's a feel good. The music is it's feel good. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's amazing. I just loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys. Thank you. Thanks for having me again. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And thanks for keeping the music alive.
No, it's always our pleasure. And I'm sure we'll talk in the future and bring you back again. But I need to bring Corwin back with us because he's a huge fan of Williamsburg Salsa Orchestra, just as big as
great.
I am. So, and I know when he finds out about your vinyl, he'll be knocking on your door. He'll start knocking now probably. So watch out for this.
It's
Okay,
coming.
guys, stay safe, everybody. And till next time, God bless you and speak to you all soon. Take
Thank
care.
you.